All right, how's it going, everyone? Here is my continuation of my Red Purple Kid series. As promised, I have been playing this deck a lot. I've been testing this deck a lot. It is still really, really fun, but I do think I found a bit of a better version here than the initial list, so I wanted to share that. As you can see, leading much heavier into the Straw Hat package, so have added more Restauros, have added the Rush Luffy to get past blockers, specifically for the Sakazuki matchup. Have added 2 of the 10-drop Luffy as kind of a game finisher, or essentially a win more card if you're in an advantageous position at the end of the game. This is just like a really good card that puts so much pressure and really closes those out for sure. I messed around a little bit with the purple 10-drop Luffy, but I just, because even if you don't have the Dawn, you can still use Kid's leader ability with Rested Dawn. So there is kind of like a good synergy there, but it's just not enough to warrant putting that card in, I feel. So this is a better alternative for kind of the top end of this deck. Some other changes: I took out Queen. While an amazing purple card, it didn't really fit in this list as much because really you want to just see this 5-drop Kid. And if you're not seeing that, there are like other cards you would probably play over Queen. And with Wire, you have enough cycle that it's not as necessary. Instead of Queen, I've added this 5-drop Killer from the starter deck 10. It's not, the best card in the world, but it is searchable by the event in OP05 called When You're at Sea, You Fight Pirates. This entire deck is actually searchable by this event, besides this event itself. So it has a lot of hits, which is really, really nice when you're looking for Kid and other cards from the Kid Pirate set. But overall, I think this card synergizes really well with our leader ability and gives you some options to remove cards from other aggressive decks. So if you're fighting against a Zoro, or you're fighting against maybe like a red purple Luffy that played their own Zoro Juro, something like that, this is just like a nice body to play that can freely punish characters or leaders that have attacked aggressively with their characters. So that's kind of the updated list. Overall, it's structurally the same. You still want to do a lot of the same stuff. You want to go second. You want to play Sanji if you can. After you play Sanji, you want to play Rush Zoro or Zoro Juro, or even Heater Wire. And then just kind of just put on pressure every single turn. Hopefully play your Kid on curve. Hopefully play 7-drop Kid on curve, and then just finish your game with one of the Rush Luffys. So very, very fun deck, very aggressive deck. Gonna try to get some different matchups from my last video just to show you how it fares against those. So let's dive into those and see what we can find. All right, let us jump into this match with Magellan. We got second here. We have a really great opening hand. So gonna hopefully take this very quickly with our early game aggression, stepping from the Sanji, and depending on what he plays, maybe Rush Zoro or Zoro Juro. I feel like for the Magellan matchup, I like to go very aggressive because they tend to run a lot of bricks. So it's nice to, just pressure them early, forcing them to either just go low in life or start discarding cards that they would actually want to play. All right, this player is taking a bit to decide if he wants to keep his hand. Let's give him a couple seconds. There we go. All right, so he's going first, nothing to play. We're going to play our favorite here, Sanji. A great, great, great first play. He plays Sadie, which is such a good card, but it gets rid of a 2k in a deck that desperately wants 2ks. Oh, he plays Sadie flat with nothing else. That's interesting. All right, and then we get the 5-drop Kid. This hand is perfect. The one thing we have to be a little bit wary of here is the 4-drop Law. So that is something that can kind of hurt us here. Given the deck, I think we'll play the Rush Sword so we have counter in hand. We'll swing 5k there. And then we'll use this. And then just to get a card out of hand so that we can't get 4-drop Blood, I will play the Nami. Grab a 2k. Well, that actually doesn't work, but we're still at 7 in hand, so that's my math is wrong there, but that's fine. And then we're at 7. Okay. So we got the swings in. If he plays the 4-drop Law, the one kind of benefit we have, yep, he plays it. All right, so we lose 10-drop and a Zoro Juro, not the end of the world. The one benefit is it's a little easier to defend these swings now, so we could do that. And then he's going to kill that. That's fine. We're okay with that. So first thing we're going to do is swing 5k with our Zoro. He counters out there. Then we're going to swing 7k with our leader. Yeah, so this 4-drop law is really, really powerful against our deck. We are often running a pretty big hand size early game, so if they have it on curve, it does kind of feel bad, but at the end of the day, it's not the worst if you get your combos out early, because kind of what you saw, rather than focusing on board removal, which might have been more advantageous, he just got rid of 2 cards in my hand at random, and then put up a blocker that isn't going to do much offensively for him. We're not going to swing into the Sadie because he's just going to block, and then this Nami's rested for no reason. So we'll hold that up. He plays the Magellan, which means that we will not be able to play 7-drop Kid on curve, but we should be able to defend the Zoro with our Captain Kid blocker and a 2K. Right, he's already at 2 life, 6 cards in hand, 1 blocker on the field. I think this turn we'll be able to get rid of the blocker. Okay, and then probably take a life as well. If we draw into a rush Luffy, I think we more or less win this game because he's very, very low. All right, and I think he's debating if he wants to swing in with that. He decides to. Let's just keep countering. I'm fine with that. I don't really need the cards in hand. So I think first thing we're going to do is just see if we can find the rush Luffy here, maybe a little preemptive. All right, we'll take a... We'll take a Sanji because we're not at Radical Beam stage yet. So first, let's use our Nami now. Let's do 7. Yeah, if we see that rush Luffy, I think we might actually even win next turn unless he can counter out of several 7k swings here. Let's do 7. Okay, so getting rid of 2 cards here, he's down to 4 cards, and then just to set us up for a potential win, let's do 7. Is he going to counter out again? Yes, okay. So he has no life up. If we can play that rush Luffy, we pretty much have this game. But now he's going to spend his turn trying to clear my board. I still have a 2k. I can probably keep something alive here. I imagine, will go 8k into Kid and then 7k into Zoro. So I just got to choose which one I want to defend at which time. Worst case scenario, if we have nothing to do, we hold all our counter. And we just play 7-drop Kid next turn, make ourselves a 6k. All right, he plays his second blocker, so he's tunneling up, hoping to survive the subsequent turn. If I top deck a Luffy, that's amazing. Otherwise, I think he's now kind of used up enough Dawn that I should be able to easily survive most of these hits, yeah. And then... oh, if he recognizes that he can go 6k into Zoro, yeah. Okay, I should be able to at least keep one of these alive. The Kid or the Zoro, yep. Alright, so Zoro lives. Zoro lives. I think he's debating if he wants to go in with that blocker, which is pretty risky. Okay. So I think what we want to do... yeah, so since we have a couple counter cards in hand, I think we go 6k with the Zoro. Alright, that gets rid of a blocker. Use a Dawn. Alright, puts us back at 6 Dawn. Get rid of another blocker. Alright, he has very few attacks this turn because he would have to put a lot of Dawn under Hannibal and Sadie to get them anywhere useful. I guess his best bet is to continue placing blockers and kill that Zoro, but then next turn I have an 8k swing with this Kid and a pretty large swing with our leader. So I feel like we're still in a great spot this game. Kind of the benefit of pushing someone to get to 0 life that quickly is they are just kind of now forced to counter out aggressively. I don't think that there's much of a path for this Magellan to take it back, but never say never. Could definitely take it. A 10-drop Luffy would also work here. So we have the 2 rush Luffy, the 2 10-drop, so I think either one would be a nice finisher. if not this turn, but the next. All right, so he's got the queen. Queen's a great play for him here because now he gets extra cards and has the blocker. He's able to get rid of a brick. So that's really solid for him. Ooh. At the very least, we know he doesn't have a Hell's Judgment, which I think would have been the best possible card he could have in this situation, because it's just such a good counter. Would have been able to take out my 2 attackers, minus 3k there. And he used a 2k to do that. That felt very much not worth it. But at the same time, it does bring me to 1 card in hand, which is pretty good. And then he doesn't attack. Okay, so nothing really to play here. I think I'll swing 5k here just to get a card out of hand. All right, that's a 2k. That's amazing for us. Let's swing 9k here and use his ability. See if he blocks. Hopefully he does. All right, and then that's game. So we're going to swing. That's 10. We'll use leader ability just to be sure. Yeah. Very bricky deck. We didn't see the Rush Luffy. He wasn't in life either. But, you know, this is still kind of a great outcome for us. We saw the early game we wanted. It was a little scary when we were at 1 or 2 cards, which I think is just the nature of aggro decks. But overall, pretty solidly in our camp for this one. All right, let's see what else we can find. Okay, this is a matchup against Enel. It is probably one of the hardest matchups that this deck has, just because Enel is so frustrating to deal with. But he also took second from us, so we're in kind of the worst possible scenario, other than the fact that we have a really good opening hand. So let's see what we can do. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to approach this matchup. It's very difficult, just given how effective Enel is at kind of staying alive. I think Gadatsu makes it super difficult because there's just so much free removal with that card. So overall, just like not a lot you can do as Kid, but you know, your aggression is pretty unparalleled. So I think there's still hope. He counters out of that first swing, which is a little surprising. I feel that most NLs tend to just like go down to 1 life right away and basically use their massive hand size to just stay at that 1 life and then heal on their subsequent turns with Katakuri or Yamato or something like that. So countering out of a 5k is definitely not the norm, but can still probably decimate us even with that choice. I think the 10-drop Luffy might actually be pretty valuable in this matchup. This is my first time testing against Enel with this in the deck, so I'm curious to see if that makes a difference, because I can kill Katakuri with this effect. Not Yamato, but Katakuri, yes. So that's I'm curious how that'll look. And then he swings with the pudding. I'm not sure why. Maybe just for fun. We'll see how this Enel plays. Maybe we can kind of see this is a new player or someone who actually knows the deck after a couple more turns. Oh. Looks like he did not read the card fully, but that's a good lesson, you know? Something that could happen to other people you play against. Okay, so this is where things get a little tricky. I guess I'll use this effect first. What I'm really afraid of is like an Elthor or some of those other removal cards in life. But you kind of just have to take those risks. There's really not much you can do. Okay, he is countering out very early. I definitely feel that this deck is played much like Whitebeard, where you just take a lot of life and then you know, sit with 12 cards in hand, and just, unlike Whitebeard, you can just keep healing and using your leader ability and cards to just stay at that 1 life or 2 life mark. Plays the Gadatsu, kills my Sanji, which is fine. I'm I'm not super concerned about that. I don't have any 2Ks in hand, which feels a little bad, so couldn't just use one card there, but that's okay. I kept this up in case he swung with Sanji, but he decided not to. I think what we'll do is play that. So let's put us at 6K for our subsequent turn. He takes that Shirahoshi, so that's his first trigger. We've been kind of fortunate in that he hasn't seen a lot of triggers. If you're playing against Enel and his first life is, Parasparrow, and then his second life is Thunderbolt, and then his third life is Shirahoshi, and then his fourth life is Sanji, you're kind of in trouble. It's really, really hard to come back from that. And that's not even like a misplay on your part. It's just kind of how the dice rolled out. So I think that in general just makes this very difficult because we're playing at a disadvantage already. In my opinion, I think it's favored for Enel, and then if they're hitting those triggers, it's kind of a lost cause, which feels a little bad. But I'm never one to say that we can't win a bad matchup. I've played Arlong for several sets, so I'm always willing to take on a challenge. He Thunderbolts the Kid, which I'm fine with. I think that's fair. I'm okay, and I'm going to be at 1 life here, but that's okay because I have a huge hand size here, and I can play a couple of wires just to essentially keep myself alive. But between this effect and then hopefully getting something good with wire, I should be good. So I will play a Nami, see if I can get some 2Ks. That's 1 2K. Play another Nami, get hopefully something else. We got another 2K. All right, so that's good. And then I think what we should do is play wire. I think I'm going to swing into the Gadatsu because the problem with going life here is that he can just trash a brick for free and stay at 1 life, whereas this kind of forces him to either lose blockers or lose the board. And then, so we're at 8 time. You know what? Let's. I'm debating if I wanted to play another card, but I think I feel comfortable with where we're at. Let's just go big into Gadatsu one more time. Hopefully try to clear board and win on card advantage and board advantage. At this point, he's probably going to play Katakuri and put my kid at the bottom of my life because we know he pulled that from the start of the game. And I am fine with that because I have 10-drop Luffy in hand and a lot of 2Ks now. Yep. And I'm 6K and I have a blocker. So we're doing okay. Oh, he could also place Shirahoshi on his top life, gain some health, which I think is even better for me. Yeah, because now I can play another kid and then just really overpower him that way. All right, 2K here. Okay, perfect. So let's play our first kid. Don't need that searcher, that's okay. Let's swing with our second kid, and this will keep us at. We won't use leader ability. Let's keep ourselves at 10 Dawn. I'm not gonna put any additional Dawn onto this because he will just take that and then trash 1 card anyways. Instead, we'll play a second wire. See. This tells me that this Enel is not the most practiced Enel, right? There was no reason to make that play. He could have easily just taken a life and then used his leader ability and just trash Gadatsu if he was going to trash that anyways. But I will leave this in the video probably either way, just because I think even matches that aren't maybe top tier are still interesting to learn from. He still plays the cards that Enel would play. So even if he's not making the most optimal moves, I think there's still a lot that we can learn from here. I will counter out there. Like that. Okay, so I'm going to play this. I'm going to swing. We need a second one. If he blocks, I get to kill another blocker, which is good. Okay. He can't use his ability now. Oh, I guess he can. He can use it. Oh, he does not need a trash card. Right, that's something, that's a learning thing for me. Enel does not need to have any cards in hand to use his leader ability, which is interesting. Ooh, he Thunderbolts that. That's really good for him. He's going to have to block here, which gives me a chance to kill the Katakuri. Oh, he concedes. Yeah, I honestly would have kept going if I was him. Like, if we think through it, right? He blocks with Brule, I kill Katakuri, that's the best for me. Then I'm a 7k on defense, but he still has a 7k on board, a 5k on board, and leader, and I don't have any blockers left. So he could have gone maybe 9k, which is 2 cards. So that would be my Frankie and like Nami, and then still has 8 Don left. He could have done another 9k. So yeah, that would have been 3 cards, and then that would be 4 Don left. That's math, right? Yeah, he would have won. He could have absolutely won that game if he just allocated his Don. So that one Thunderbolt off life really changed the outcome of that game for him. I probably, if I were to do that a little differently, I would have attacked board instead and just made sure that Katakuri was dead, and tried to force a block that way so that the Luffy would kill the other blocker and just really ensure that I couldn't lose. So I got a little greedy at the end, and that would have cost me the game if he had just gone for it. Either way, good learning experience. I think you can kind of see what my line of play should have been to win this, and you can see what the Enel's line of play typically is to win this. And I think that hopefully that's like a helpful learning experience if you're interested in playing this deck at locals or even beyond. I'm probably taking it to nationals. I need to practice it more in person, but I really like how this deck plays. Anyways, let us see what other matches we can find. All right, we are now versing a purple Luffy. We're going second, which is great. We had a couple matches with purple Luffy in the last video, but you're going to see a lot of him. So if we can get even more examples of how this deck can stack against meta leaders, I think that's really great. So we got second, which is awesome. We love going second. We got Sanji after we mulliganed, which is awesome. We love having Sanji. I don't have Rush Zoro in my opening hand, which is fine. I have Captain Kid. Instead of playing Rush Zoro, I could potentially play Wire, cycle a card. There's not much that I don't like in this hand, so I might play Heat just to build up aggression for my subsequent turn. But we'll see what we pull from our next 2 cards. Okay, so I'm actually going to use this, see if I can get anything interesting. Let's get the 7-drop, put that in for later in our turn. Let's play Heat. Let's use our leader ability. There's the Rush Zoro. A little bit late, but that's okay. We can always use him on another turn. And then this is our 7k swing into the purple Luffy. He's going to have to decide if he wants to counter or take life early here. I think this deck goes very well into purple Luffy because he wants to take his own life to ramp. And if you force him to decide if he's discarding or taking life early, it can kind of limit his ability to ramp. And eject Gatlings away at Polly, which is great because we do not like Polly as Red Purple Kid. Polly is an amazing card. It removes a lot of the cards we play in our deck, especially if you have some sort of cost reduction, which obviously Purple Luffy doesn't. But in other decks, it's definitely super troublesome. And he's placed. All right, he decided to counter out of all of those swings, which is awesome because now he's at 4 cards. He's probably going to play Law here, which we're okay with. Yep, there it is. We're going to lose 2 cards. As long as we keep the Kid, I think we're okay. Even if we lose it, we can play Wire and hopefully cycle into another one. We lost our 2k and a Wire. So, I mean, it is what it is. That's just kind of a reality of playing this deck into purple. You have to be comfortable with taking that because to do this combo, you will always be at 7 cards on their 4 Dawn turn, which for purple Luffy was his 6 Dawn turn because of his ramp. So, that's just kind of a trade-off. I think it's fine because really they're just developing a 5k. they're subtracting 1 Dawn, and they don't really have a lot of job left to do anything else interesting on their turn, and he leaves my Sanji up. So yeah, we can now play our kid. So we can now swing 7k and then another 7k with our heat, and we're in a pretty good defensive position for the subsequent turn. I imagine he will block one of these hits with his law, or he'll go down to 2 life, which if he does, great for us because he's 6 Dawn. He might play 7 drop kid next turn, so he'll be a 6k leader, but not something we're super afraid of. At this point, I might not even play my own kid. I might just go wide and use Sanji, Heat, and Zoro to poke him for like 5-6k swings. Okay, he plays the Kaido, so he ramps to play Kaido. That's definitely a really, really good play in this turn, which might change my game plan next turn to playing a bunch of wires and tunneling a little bit. He cannot kill this with his leader, but he can attack it with Kaido, which I'll take. Not much I could do in that sense. And then let's get rid of one of these heats. Oh, interesting. He opts to... I didn't expect that. He decides to use his law blocker there. I think that may help give me the game. Let's see. So I could do 7k with Zoro. This is a little bit aggressive and greedy, so I could lose here as well. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think he may have miscountered there. Or he's just baiting me, because he has a lot of counter in hand. Okay, oh, yep, his hand was all bricks. I guess if he didn't do that, I may have played wires down instead, but let's do a rematch and see if the second match is a little more telling of how that would have gone. Even if one match goes a little weird, I think if you can win best of 3, it's a good sign that the deck works. But I always take Sim with a grain of salt. You never know. All right, so Sanji right off the bat. We don't have Restoro again. I think we're going to play Heat. Yeah, all right, he plays ulti. Does he have the page 1? He does. That's such a good opening turn. Yeah, when they have that, you're definitely in kind of trouble. We do have Rush Zoro. I think I'm still gonna play Heat because I might want the Rush Zoro next turn. Okay, we have the Rush Luffy too. He may have pulled some sort of trigger. Oh, missed double finger. It's another attack or another Dawn. Yeah, he's definitely has a much better opening hand than me this go around. I think I will not use leader ability here because I would like the extra Dawn to try to clear back some of this board next turn and hopefully regain a little bit of control. I'm guessing he'll 2k out of this. Nope. No. Okay. I was hoping he'd 2k, just keep a really low hand size, which would enable me to clear his page 1 and his ulti next turn. Part of me thinks that maybe I just keep going face and go for game as soon as possible. That's definitely an area that I'm trying to fine tune and improve. When do I go for game and when do I try to clear board? He played his queen, so getting some more cards in hand, getting a blocker. Got rid of the Kaido. At least that'll kind of allow me to counter out of those 5k swings. So I can get rid of these Orojuros, which honestly, if you're not playing them on curve, they're not super good. Yeah, this is also not a great matchup for this killer. Like, I could play him just to get a 6k on board, but it's not really, really worth it. What do I want to play here? I think I feel like I go for board clear. Because he has so many, just being able to play 2 bodies on his first turn, or his first real turn, with this combo just puts him at such an advantage. Because I could go face here and probably get him to dump the queen, but I don't think I can survive the next turn. I'm debating. You know what? Let's play a little bit aggressive. Let's see what he does. Okay. So he blocks early. So we can do $7K. Okay. Do 8K here. Okay, that's 3 cards out of hand. He's only at 6 Dawn. He could go up to 7 if he takes his last life, which pretty good if we want to go with our Rush Luffy. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the counter to survive like a full-on Rush Luffy to the face if he takes his last life. Unless he uses it to play 7-drop Kid, which he might. Let's see if we can keep these cards alive. If he uses all of his Dawn to play something, we should be able to keep the cards alive. Yes, all right. Use a 2K. Definitely a super close game right now. I think how he blocks in the next turn is going to be the deciding factor. Let's use a 2K. And he might even decide to attack in with queen here. Go to 1K. Which if he does, I don't think I can play Luffy. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's actually a great pull for us. So we can play this kid. Swing 7K. And then all we need to do is survive until the next turn and we can play Luffy. Swing 6K. He's debating. Okay, he decides to counter out. We really want him to take that life, but next turn we'll have 9 Dawn, which is a little more flexible with the Rush Luffy, and we should be able to do something interesting. There's a chance he even takes this last life to play Rush Kaido, which not a horrible play because I only have 2 cards in hand. We can get rid of a blocker and then put a 10K Rush on board. That's pretty crazy. So definitely a possibility to lose this game. It's a close one. I thought this match would be a little bit more one-sided, but it is going very close. And I don't have any counter in hand, which he obviously doesn't know, so he's allocating some Dawn. I would want him to go into Heat here. This would be like a good outcome for me if he's trying to kill Heat. And then I could hopefully get away with getting him to swing with some blockers. Let's see. Okay, so he's banking on me not having 2Ks, which is a good guess. Okay. Okay, and then does he swing with the queen? He does. Risky play for him. I think it all depends on how this math works out. Okay, here's where I gotta think. So I play the Rush Luffy, get him to 8, and then I can go 9 myself. So if he can counter out of 8k, 9k, he wins this game. Ah, he has exactly 8 here. Yep. That's a win. Let's just see what that last life would have been. Yep. So if we had one more 2k in our life, we could have survived with our kid blocker, which would have been a much different outcome there, but still an interesting game. And he disconnected before we could do a third match, but I think an interesting matchup. Okay, so here we have Sakazuki, a staple of the OP05 meta. He took first from me here. Or sorry, he forced me to go first, took second from me. So we don't have a great opening hand, but we should play through it and see what we can do. I am gonna play another searcher, hopefully pick up something a little more useful. Couldn't find anything, so we're just gonna swing here. I didn't really want to play anything on the 3-Dawn turn because it's very easy for him to remove it. So we're gonna try to put on our pressure with rush cards instead. And then he plays Kuzan. Okay. Let's play this. There's the 5-drop kit. All right, so we have that for our next turn. Let's do a couple of 5k swings here while we can. Powered with Sabo, that's good. I countered out early just because this game might drag on a little bit longer than I would typically like. So having a little bit extra life is really good. And hopefully this Sakazuki match is interesting because I know the last one that I put in the last video, there were some like interesting final plays that I think would have otherwise lost me the game, but he didn't really play it the optimal way, and I was able to take the win there. So hopefully the Sakazuki is a better example of what you might typically see. And he goes 7k here, which very free take for us. There's no reason to try to counter out of that. And he plays his Lucci, which is honestly great for me. Like burning Lucci on 2 Namis, that's a pretty amazing outcome. Not one I'm super concerned about. So we're gonna swing here 6k. And he uses a 2k, and then we're gonna go with our Zoro here. Really, I'm just trying to get cards out of his hand and hopefully finish this game before he has too much of a chance to build a massive board. He's got a lot of removal options here, so there's the Porcelino. Okay. So we survived that with Zoro still available. I think we definitely want to kill the Kuzan because the Kuzan will be used. Actually, you know what? Screw that. Let's keep going face. Let's do 9k here. I am not concerned. I have 4 life. Let's do... I'll have 10 down next turn. All right. We're in it. We're going to play 10 drop Luffy next turn. If he doesn't play blockers, or depending on how many blockers he plays, maybe we play our 5-drop Luffy instead. Interesting to see what he ends up doing. Ooh, Kuzan. If he plays no blockers, we're just gonna go 16k at lead. He might play a Sabo here. Oh, he conceded. Wow, no blockers to play. Probably not the most typical Sakazuki match once more, but it's what we got, and I guess this is the reality of playing the deck. Sometimes they just don't draw blockers if you go fast enough. So he had a lot of counter in hand. He had 2k, 4k, 6k. He could get to 11. But he didn't see enough blockers. So no Sabos, no Porcelinos. He countered out with the Sabo, I think, early on, and then put it back on his deck with Lucci. So had he held on to that Sabo, he would have been able to play that, and then counter to 11. And the effect of this wouldn't work with Sabo active, but I could have played Luffy and swung 11k, which would have been exactly what I needed to win. And if he countered out of that, I could have then swung 7k with leader, which would have forced a KO of the Sabo. So definitely still some paths for me, even if he played a blocker there, which is kind of funny that he didn't have one. Anyways, that is once again Red Purple Kid. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of the list, the updated list here. Make sure to follow if you enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a comment if you enjoyed it. And I will be streaming this list on Twitch, which is also linked in my description. So make sure to follow there and catch me next time I'm live. Thanks, everyone.